You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, General Hospital fans, Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I've got your weekly prediction edition for the ABC soap opera. I've got 5 really, really hot predictions. I've got one for Heather and Esme, one for Drew and Nina. I've got one for Nina and Sonny, and Cyrus and Esme, and Cody and Spinelli. Kind of a wild group of things as we step into the first full week of sweeps. It's the second week, but the first full week. I'm so excited to share these with you. Please click subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of our updates. And now let's dive right in. My first prediction, Heather Weber escapes and shows up at the funeral. I say the funeral because the only person we know for sure that is getting a funeral is Spencer Cassadine, but it's complicated, right? Because Esme's parents were serial killers, but Esme had a child that was a Cassadine that was related to Laura. I think it would be in really peculiar and poor taste for them to have a double memorial for Spencer and Esme, to have their pictures down front together, something like that. That would be so weird. So I just wonder if Spencer is going to get a full-blown funeral with all the honors and everybody, and maybe some little hospital memorial for Esme, for the one person that might want to come check on her. But nonetheless, Esme's death might push Heather Weber to break out of prison and come to wreak havoc. So Wednesday the 7th is when Spencer's funeral happens, but another spoiler for that day says someone surprising shows up to mourn Esme. So, again, I hope they don't have a joint funeral, but I could see Heather escaping and showing up for her daughters to make this about her daughter, to create a disturbance, because I'm sure she blames Nicholas, because if Nicholas hadn't stole Ace, Esme wouldn't have been chasing them, yada, yada, yada. So I could see Heather showing up to make a scene. Heather's broken out of jail before just to get a BLT from Kelly's. So breaking out of jail for her daughter's funeral, yeah. So we'll see. Maybe Heather gets a compassionate furlough for a day to attend her daughter's memorial and doesn't need to break out. Maybe this mystery mourner is Nanny Maggie. Maybe it's Nicholas showing up with baby Ace to say goodbye to his awful mother, which would be a big move since the PCPD is still looking for him, unless by Wednesday, Laura can try and get those charges dropped since Esme's dead. Not that Nicholas's victim being dead shouldn't change anything, but she can't testify against him. And it's almost a he said, she said, except for the testimony that Liz Weber gave. So we'll see how it goes. Nicholas might be in the clear by the time his son's funeral rolls around. My second prediction is that Drew Caine's plan to destroy Nina Reeves' life backfires on him. So Drew just said this week to Michael he wants to leave Nina alone, broke, and miserable. But is Carly going to buy into this extreme strategy? Drew asked Michael to help him carry this out, and Michael was like, I don't think so. That's not a good idea for my marriage, and Nina's already lost her husband and her job. Yeah, I'm out. He just tapped out. But and Drew Michael was like, oh, is this a test? And Drew was kind of like, yeah, but I don't think Drew's kidding. He is unhinged. He did mention, when they were talking about that Nina's lost her job, she's lost Sonny, she's lost Willow. It's a lot, but I don't think Drew's done. And next week, Drew's again focusing on the revenge plan from the spoilers, from what they say. I just don't think Carly is going to buy into it either. They have so many people in common in their lives, and this could get way too messy. I think there's a point where people are going to think, okay, Nina lost enough. And past that point, I think they're going to think Drew is being bad and Carly if she helps him, because there is a point, like punishment fits the crime, things like that. But he's going above and beyond, So a lot of people have spoken up about the fact that Carly started this whole thing when she did the crime. And absolutely, I do understand and agree. Nina was being very petty for personal reasons when she ratted them out. It wasn't like she was being a good citizen reporting a crime she spotted. I understand that. But you have to think beyond that. Consider this. Michael was being really petty for personal reasons when he hired Dex to come in and ruin Sonny's life. The only difference was that Michael had the luxury of time to stop it. Once Nina had Martin make that call, she couldn't stop it. Her ball rolled a lot faster than Michael's ball rolled. If it had gone as fast for Michael as it did for Nina, he wouldn't have been able to get out of it either. And he actually did worse because that was his own father he was doing it to. So I just think Drew is going to cross the line. I think they're setting him up to look really bad by the time Jason gets back. That's my theory. And I think if he goes overboard with this anti-Nina plan, that he is going to feel some backlash. So the spoiler that's based on comes this coming week, Friday the 9th. Carly talks to Drew about his anti-Nina revenge plan. My third prediction, I wonder if Nina Reeves is going to call Sonny's bluff to try and shake him out of this thing. Sonny is clearly not giving Nina the time of day. She wanted to talk to him about Spencer. She wanted to talk to him about, the danger he was in Puerto Rico, and he won't talk to her. And he's shutting her down. She's only getting info just from Ava. He's still slamming a metaphorical and a literal door in her face. I know Nina is really frustrated, but she still loves Sonny. He's very tense about all the mob stuff and the attempt on his life on the island, and, Avery being at risk, Ava being at risk. Maybe Nina is going to try and shake him into realizing that they belong together. And she might do this by taking steps to make their split legal. This would be a very risky and daring move if she decided to write him a reality check and see how he responds, because it might not go the way she wants if it goes this way at all. And again, this is a prediction. So there's a spoiler on Thursday, the 8th, that says Nina asks her lawyer, Martin, for something. And I just wonder if it might be a formal separation agreement, maybe the first draft of a divorce petition. I know she doesn't want a divorce, but maybe she thinks she needs to push Sonny to bring him back to her. I think that would be a bad idea, but you never know. Nina doesn't always do smart things. All right. My fourth prediction is that Cyrus is going to enrage people at Spencer's funeral by asking for prayers for Esme. So this kind of ties back to my first prediction about Heather Weber, because the spoiler about at Spencer's funeral, somebody surprising shows up to mourn Esme. And I wonder if it's Heather, but I also wonder if it might be something to do with Cyrus. Cyrus really pissed off Laura when he came to her house to offer her condolences about Spencer, but then he started with the scripture. And Laura blew up at him and kicked him out. I think there's a difference between if your pastor from your church comes to your door offering you condolences, offering you sympathy, and there's some scripture in that, and offering to pray with you and pray for your healing. That's one thing. But when you've got a drug dealing, murderous psycho like the good father Cyrus, you do not want to hear his hypocritical scriptural stuff, because he isn't practicing what he's preaching. He's just preaching. So in that vein, though, I could totally see him showing up at the funeral and speaking on behalf of Esme. She came to him after Nicholas stole her son, so he might stand up and talk about that. He might feel sympathetic because she's a fellow villain who's been judged, accurately. They've both been judged accurately. And, when she came to him for help, she reminded him they were family. She tried to pluck that heartstring. So he may make a little scene at the funeral. If he does, I cannot imagine that everybody will surround him and throw him out if Sonny doesn't beat him again. And the spoilers tied to this, of course, Wednesday the 7th, Spencer's funeral, someone surprising shows up to mourn Esme. But of course, Cyrus wouldn't be mourning Esme. He would just be showing up to make an ass of himself. All right, my fifth and final prediction, Cody and Spinelli jump into a bromance. So Spinelli was jealous a couple weeks ago, and he accused Cody of making a play for Maxie Jones. Cody swore he was not making a play for her, that he said he thinks of them like family. And then he actually encouraged Damian Spinelli to ask her out and said, I can tell you're into her. And I have seen some leaked sweeps spoilers that say Spinelli winds up with Maxie at the Savoy on Valentine's Day, and Cody is there with Sasha. I wonder if it's going to wind up being a double date and if these two guys are destined to be buddies. I think it could be very cute. They got off on the wrong foot from when he first came to town, but things could change. We'll see. And this is based on the spoiler for Friday, February 9th that says Cody helps Spinelli. And I think he might help him get a date with Maxie, but we'll see how it goes. Those are all of my predictions for this week's General Hospital Prediction Edition. Please click subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely drop your comments. Let me know what you think about what's coming, what you think about the predictions, agree or disagree. I love talking GH with you guys, and be sure and come back soon because we are here talking General Hospital 7 days a week. And as always, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.